So I'm out and about, just sat in a park. If this is your first time stopping here, thank you for doing so. Let's see who is online. If you can hear me, you can see me, smash the like button. Smash the like button. If you're watching this for the first time, please give consideration to smashing the subscribe button. If you can hear me, you can see me, smash the like button. What's up, Rashid? There is something heavy on my mind that I want to talk about. Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Salutations. Thank you for stopping by. Please don't forget to, oh, you're looking fresh. Thank you, brother. If you want to support the channel, you can use the super chat button. Okay. Now, there's something, very heavy on my mind that I really need to talk about. But before we crack on, I'll also use this medium very quickly to say, those of you that are getting responses from Phrankleen, I'm sure you're aware, all the backlogs of Ifa divination. I'm responding to people. I've been busy all day doing that, okay? So, Eshe Suru dear for me, I'm getting to everybody. For those of you that have pending orders, forwarding me your emails. I'm dealing with them. I've been dealing with a lot of emails, DMs and stuff. If you are, forgive the noise, I'm sat in a park. If you are interested in fresh Ifa divination on anything whatsoever, just send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. foodchannel1960@gmail.com. My email address is in the description part of this video. So just send me an email. So if you have any pending orders with me, just forward it to me or just send me an email. I'll pick it up after the show. So just to give you assurance that I am dealing with pending orders, okay? Bear with me. Everybody will be dealt with. Now, there is something heavy on my mind because I'm out and about, and I know that by the time I get home, it will be too late and stuff for me to go online. So I thought, okay, why not? Let me just sit in the park, hold my phone, and go live. So without further ado, you ever wondered why it's easy? If you can hear me, you can see me. Please, I ask you nicely, smash the like button, okay? Please, smash the like button. Have you ever wondered why it's very easy to control Africans? Okay, so I've been looking at a lot of things lately, but today I was just looking at some online comments from some of our people on a popular blogging platform on Instagram. I'm not going to name them, and some of these things triggered me, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. I've had these on my mind for quite some time. I said I was going to talk about it, but today, aboye boshishe, adonio, aboye boshishe, ifagbiwa. Now, let's go. Please smash the like button, smash the like button. If you want to support the show, support Frankleen's work, please, I'm saying it openly. You don't owe me anything, but if you feel like, use the super chat, button. I have a link for like a buy me a coffee thing. I'll start posting that. I think it's buymeacoffee.com/Phrankleen. Buymeacoffee.com/Phrankleen. You can give as much as you want to support my channel. Okay? And if you don't wanna, you can always support by lending me your eyeballs and eardrums and sharing my content. It goes a long way. Now, check this. For those of you that have lived in the diaspora or you live here, you raise children in the system. Our people always say stuff like, in the Western system, children are allowed to express themselves. Children is asking you questions about why is this, why are you putting your shoes there? Why is that, why is that table that color? Why are you driving that car? Daddy, why did you put that on the table? Why is this person staying over? Daddy, this, it might just be a 5-year-old child, but they are allowed to express themselves. You understand? Why is that? There is an enabling environment that allows for that. Would you agree with me? Yeah? There is an environment that allows for that. Now, when Africans come to the West and they raise children in this system, we get overly excited. We marvel at how our children grow in the system. And even though the system is not exactly designed for us, it's designed to tolerate us, but you marvel, when your children, they pick up the accents, and particularly it's the way how young children, their minds, the young impressionable minds, how they are allowed to indulge in critical thinking. They can challenge a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old child in the system can challenge the thought process of a 60-year-old man. What do you mean we have to do this before we do that? Why do I need to put that on the table? There's a lot of why. There's a lot of I don't want to, I want to. So it makes parenting a lot, more challenging, particularly for a lot of homegrown Africans, where most of us come from environments where you are from childhood. It's almost like an automatic thing. You're robbed of critical thinking. You're not allowed to challenge thought process. It's like a forbidden thing. So when you say no, or when you call out people that are older than you, they shut you down faster than the speed of light. You are labeled as being aggressive, as being mannerless, and things like that. And then slap religiosity into that, you're done for. This is how a lot of homegrown Africans came up. Look at my topic today. You ever wondered why it's very easy to control Africans? The more I look online, a lot of these blogging platforms, and I look at when, the comment section, regardless of the topic at hand, is designed really for, what do you call it, man? What do you call? It's meant for civil discussions, challenging our thought processes and learning from each other. You can disagree with me, I can disagree with you, you can agree with me and stuff. But I notice that when you look at a lot of the African, platforms, when people interact amongst ourselves, if you say something, let's say because I live in the diaspora and I have an opinion about a particular topic, your fellow brothers and sisters, they get angry, they just instantaneously get angry, they attack your comments, and then you wonder why. They turn to, how do I say, they call you names, they insult you. A lot of people have limited vocabulary. They are unable to effectively articulate themselves. A lot of our people, grown-ups, let me use Nigeria, a lot. Sometimes you wonder, and people just attack. You see someone, for example, if you say, oh, I don't think the government should do this and this and this. You just find a bunch of people can just come, you're very stupid, you're this, your mother is this, your father is this. But critically looking at things, you wonder why. These are the same black folks that desperately want to go abroad. So I'll give you an example. There's a Nigerian musician, popularly known. He left a post online today about the hike in prices in Nigeria, for example, and how things are expensive and things like that. I then left a comment and said, there is an ongoing global hike in prices. Hike in prices is a global thing at the moment. Now, listen to that statement. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is that a yes or a no? For people that are hearing me, right? Is that a yes or a no? That across the world, in the world we're living in right now, everything's bloody expensive. It doesn't matter if you're in the UK, if you're in the US, if you're in Nigeria, if you're in Ghana, there's a global hike in prices. Here in the UK, there's been plethora of strike actions across all sectors, across industries, unions versus governments, cost of living. For example, people living in shared houses, for example. Let's say, for example, you were paying £550 a month in a shared house. For like, I'm giving an example in the UK. And let's say you were paying for a room for like £550 for each calendar month, right? Since the global, rise in prices, £550 a month has gone up to £700, 750, 800. In fact, there was a guy that was telling me the other day that he was living somewhere where for like over 2.5 years, he used to pay his landlord £650 a month. And the landlord just called him last week and said, dude, the rent is going to go up to £800. That's a jump of £150 a month that this gentleman may not have. Now, back to my point. I can see people are agreeing with me. And I look at a lot of our people, and people, when you make a point, you get these, especially if, say, from a diasporan standpoint, they charge at you, they call you all sorts of names, like basic stuff, like saying there is a global hike in cost of living. Global, that means it's across the world, right? But you see people trying to attack you to say the cost of living is only unique to where they're based. And I'm saying that's nonsense. Do you understand? Now, I've said all this to go back to a point, which is, I think a measurable amount of Africans are absolutely deprived of critical thinking. And the damage goes back to the point where they started life from. There's a bunch of folks who, how do I put this? When you look at them, they absolutely lack the ability to just hold civil discussions. And I've always asked myself, why is a lot of our people like this? You know why? You're a product of your environment. So let's go back to the roots. If you look at most schools back home, the curriculums, the pattern of education is intentionally limited, damaged, deprived. It's intentional. Because right from childhood, when you're a little child, when you're a little boy, a little girl, you're deprived of a lot of things. A lot of our people, right? A lot of our people, grown-ups in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, they have absolutely no clue about how the world truly works. So they lack the ability to be able to even sit down and have a civil discussion. They don't understand. When you sit in front of them and you're trying to explain, this is why this is working, this is why this is happening. Oh, you're talking about brain drain or whatever topic, because they have limited vocabularies. They lack understanding of how the world works, of the wider context of the world. They resort to insults, name-calling, abuses, and insulting your family. And you see this pattern. It's very scary. This damage goes back to how a lot of children are raised. The systems that you live and work in Africa, it's intentional. It's intentional. Because láti kékeré, right, they bombard you with religiosity. There's already a crack in your identity, even if you grew up locally in Nigeria. Because you know why? You grew up. You are even told that your mother tongue, oh, stop speaking vocabulary. There are people in Nigeria. I'm not knocking people for, you know, they prefer that, what do you call it, man? When their children goes to an expensive school in Lekki, they adopt British accent. We see it as an achievement. They speak like Americans. There are schools in Nigeria where parents pay top money to ensure that their children don't speak Yoruba language. Did you hear what I said? The Chinese, when they raise their own children in China, Mandarin, they go to school. The basic language is Mandarin. They study engineering. They train them using their mother tongue, their language, which is Mandarin. A lot of them, when they travel abroad, you see a lot of Chinese, they don't speak English properly. They might even spend donkey years in the UK. They are brainy, they're educated, but they don't let go of who they are. I'm also a victim of some of these things, you know. Imagine being an adult and trying to undo so many of these failings. You don't understand. What I'm trying to talk about here is Africans are severely damaged. You don't understand, man. The damage is, I cannot even begin to quantify it. It's immeasurable. It's immeasurable. The damage is deep. They damage your identity. You don't understand. Look at the roadmap. They damage your identity right from childhood. Your parents are automated. Keep quiet. Stop speaking vernacular. Stop speaking this. You adopt other people's religion. You bin your spirituality. You bin your own identity. You try so hard. You try so hard all through your life to be westernized. That's the core of the problem. When I talk about the educational system, that's basically the domain of the problem. If you look at the curriculum, right? It's absolute shambles. It's a scam. Because right from childhood, all that you need to know, the way your brain is meant to function and develop, you're deprived. You're deprived of those things. So what we capitalize on is your accumulation I've gone to university, I have a degree, I've got a master's degree, I went to University of Lagos or OAU, I have 2 master's degree. We like to beat our chest and stuff. That's why a lot of our people don't have social interaction skills, because you're not allowed to develop. When you come abroad, especially the homegrown ones, and you start to live in the system, a lot of our people struggle on global platforms, but you try to conceal, you cover up, and just get on with life. In workplaces, you can't interact properly. And there is also, the point I'm trying to make here is, there is also a severe damage to a child's level of confidence from childhood. Now, look at what I was saying earlier. You grew up in an environment that does not allow for you to challenge the thought process of the people around you, particularly people that are older, right? It's frowned upon. They slap religiosity. They tell you you are cursed. They tell you you're rebellious. They will beat you down. They'll smack you down. They shout at you, right? Now look at your white counterparts. I give this to white folks, yeah? Over here, on this side of the world, they allow their children to express themselves. They allow them to say no. They allow them to say yes. They allow them to air their views. Now, that's not to say I am clamoring for a westernized system, but I'm talking from the point of view of critical thinking, right? They allow their children to express themselves. Now, There is something I'm trying to establish here. An average white child, I give it to white folks, an average white child, they are raised with immeasurable amount of confidence. They instill global dominance into their children. You know, when your children and their children starts to go to nursery, children are innocent, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, right. When they start to grow, they start to instill into them that, look, you're a god in your own right. You own and control this planet. So, for some, that's where racism is born. But not even going into racism, the point is, they allow the tsunami of confidence to just go into their children. They condition them from childhood. Not when they turn 18, not when they turn 20, not when they turn 25. They condition their children from tender age. They put the power in them. They activate their thought process. They fortify their minds. And it's what you know as white supremacy. As a 40-year-old man, if I sit in a room filled with most black folks, and you're talking about black excellence, most black people will be the ones to try to shut you up, or you see them huffing and puffing, they feel uncomfortable. You know why? Because of the way a lot of black folks are raised. Want to damage your mind, that's why it's very easy as an adult to be subservient to other races. Because of the way you are raised, you're deprived of critical thinking. You are robbed of having a maximum level of confidence. That's why you can see a black on black individual, yeah? A black person giving you all that, mouthing off and chatting dog bollocks and being aggressive to a fellow black person. As soon as they see a white person, the inferiority complex gets activated. Because why? Unbeknown to you as a child, remember, you're a child, you're vulnerable, but the people around you, they raised you with a slave mindset. You adopted it without you knowing. That's why the moment you see a lot of black folks, you see a non-black person, right? The inferiority complex gets activated. Boom! They bend over. A lot of our folks are not designed to be warriors. They can't look at other races and be confident and speak exactly how they will speak to their own kind. I'm taking you to the root cause of the problem. It's the way we are raised. There is nothing that you can tell the average black person. Africa is never good enough. There is nothing. That's why patriotism doesn't exist in the DNA of a lot of black folks. Because there is nothing you give a Negro. There is nothing you give a Negro. They believe Africa is not good enough. They remain subservient. This is why it's very easy to control black folks. Because a lot of people, so if I'm sat in front of a, if I'm sat in front of a grown black man or woman, and I'm trying to have a conversation along the lines of black excellence, because you're not wired like that by default setting, because you don't have it in you, you have been conditioned. It's very difficult. There was a time, once upon a time, I used to get angry a lot. I used to discuss this with my wife. Why, what the hell is wrong with these black folks, man? But the more you learn, the more you glean up knowledge, the more you research, and educate and inform yourself, your eyes get opened. You understand. A lot of our people, by default setting, they are subservient. This is why it takes me back to the point I was saying. This is why it's absolutely, I see it all the time. I can be here in the UK and I'm telling the other guy that, hey, yo, man, that's why. Do you not understand? Look at the behavioral pattern of the average, black person. I'm not even telling you not to travel abroad or not to relocate to wherever you want to relocate to. You see, it's the slave mentality. It doesn't matter what the average man has built or achieved in Africa. Already, because you want to go live abroad. It doesn't matter what the average African has achieved. That's why you see our people are ready to squander generational wealth. I have seen people, 4-bedroom bungalow, 5-bedroom duplexes, they will sell everything. And they are ready to go toe to toe with the average black man that's trying to call them out and say, hey, yo, this is generational wealth that you are making a mockery of, that you're throwing away, right? Oh, shut up. This, you know why? They go into the abuse, insulting mode. You wonder why. They go into the defensive mode, they get aggressive. Amongst ourselves, it's very difficult to have civil conversation. Do you know why? It's the childhood damage. A lot of our people are unbelievably damaged. And when you look at this, it's intentional. It's intentional. You have a child in a high school in Nigeria that needs to get his WAEC results or to get promoted from SS1 to SS2 or from SS2 to SS3. They're telling you that you need Christian religious studies before you can get promoted. Are we questioning why people went to Jakpa? That's why I blocked your ass, man. This platform is for people that are willing to open their minds, and have a civil discussion. If you like, sell your father, sell your mother to go abroad. That's your personal cup of tea. This conversation is beyond you. You are the prime example of the people that I'm talking about, man. It's only the black race, Africans, that will always find justification for wanting validation from other races. That's why there is no togetherness. And here's another thing. When I talk about how white people are raised, it's fascinating. And this is not an attack on white people. I'm telling you facts. Pick from it whatever you want to pick from it. You see, the way white people raise their children, the way what do you call it, man? White people raise their children, that goes into, thank you for the membership, Balaji Gunjobi, I appreciate you. You see, the way they raise their children, it goes into, because a lot of them are raised, most of them are raised like that. So it's very easy for them to join their collective forces at every sector, at every industry, to fraternize and uphold white supremacy. It's very easy. When you're raised as a child and you are told that you're a god in your own kind, and you are told by the people raising you that, amen, this planet is your playground. Dominance belongs to you. You control the banks, you control the healthcare, you control this, you control that. Those children will grow up to become lawyers, your doctors, your teachers. The mindset is already in place. It's very easy for them to join their collective forces and work against you and I. It's very easy. Because all they need to do is just sit down, regardless of their differences amongst themselves. They are humans too. But it's very easy. Thank you. The mind has been assimilated. If it's go time, it's go time. If they have to work together to go and dominate Libya tomorrow morning, they will make it happen. Thank you, Bino Buni. Do you get my point? That's why, regardless, I'm not even talking about ethics, invasion, or the catalog of years of atrocities and stuff. I'm not even talking about it. This is not about the questions of ethics now. This has nothing to do with ethics. Put that aside. Tonight is not the time for that. It's the mindset from childhood. We lack this in Africa, and it's intentional. They're telling us that the park is now closed. Yeah, the park is closed. I'm going to round up the show, man. So, anyways, let me read some of your comments. The West togetherness, let them conquer Africa during the slave trade. Absolutely. Intentionally done. Phrankleen, the truth is, when you try and reason with fools, insult will be an outcome. Anyways, the park is getting close now, so I'm gonna wrap up the show. So, I suppose my point is, this is the core of our problem as Africans. If we don't correct this, I don't see any chance for black excellence. Nah. Because everything starts with the mindset. The mindset is instilled into the child. That's why, let me give it to you, man. The way I'm wired by default setting, you know, I'm telling you from personal experience. The way I live my life, okay, and the way I am mentally, I've realized that a lot of people that I grew up around, they're not like that. Even family members, they're not like that. You will soon find out that as you grow and then you're facing your battles and challenges and stuff, it gets to a point you will end up having to walk alone, because most people, they're not wired. That's why we can sit here. A lot of black folks will sit down and tell you, racism, they're doing this to us, they're doing that to us, this is unfair, Africa this, Africa that, blah, 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 blah. Now get them to get mentally activated and put the work in. They will run into their shells. So like I said, that's why you notice it's very easy for the average African to be a sellout. That's why. Because you know why? The people that invaded Africa, they damaged everything at its core. They know exactly what they're doing. They damaged the academic system. The leaders who are running the systems as we speak, they are puppets attached to invisible strings controlled by the West. They ensure that the system remains damaged, because children are sponges. They make sure you don't have critical thinking. They make sure that you cannot speak up. They make sure that you cannot demand. They make sure that you cannot challenge their thought process. You grow up, they stuff religiosity down your lungs. So when you find yourself on global platforms, you cannot compete. You can't. It's very hard. When you come to this side of the world, most black folks are like this. They're subservient. They put their head down. There's element of fear. There is inferiority complex. To start to find confidence as a fully formed adult is absolutely impossible. So they just get on with it. So when your child comes home from school and they've ring-fenced your child, they've subjected them to bullying, a lot of the African parents, they can't fight. They can talk about racism in their house, but they cannot walk down the road to demand justice because they don't have it in them. They don't. Over time, I can tell you, you see a lot of folks, man. I've seen it, and I smile. You know, as you grow through life, and this is my journey as I mature spiritually and all that, you realize that to achieve your fulfillment, to achieve your goals, to get the best version of you, particularly when dealing with our people, if you mean well, to do well in this life, you'll end up having to walk alone for the most part. Because the togetherness is non-existent. There is no togetherness. There is no us. We're a bunch of damaged people. Do you understand? And that's the core of the problem. So the question is, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? Until we go to the core of the problem and start to ensure that systems are in place in Africa that will ensure that the forthcoming children can grow with critical thinking, are allowed to challenge thought process, are allowed to flourish mentally and spiritually. There is no hope of togetherness. There isn't. On a final note, most black people that you know around you, most of your friends, most Africans, they are not even who you think they are. What do I mean? Most of the people that are close to you, that you may have known in this country, America, wherever you are, most of them, they are subservient to white supremacy. They are sellouts. They are not who you think they are. They are fully functioning for the other side. They are fraternized gatekeepers. The people that you allow into your homes, into your life, that you have on your WhatsApp right now, that you thought you went to high school with in Nigeria, in Ghana, whatever, wherever you grew up a bit before you came here, a lot of them are sellouts. Look at this system. This is where we live in the West, right? You live in the West. This system is designed to tolerate Africans. It's designed to tolerate. There's no togetherness. Tell the average black person that you have a court case tomorrow morning, you've got to go to the magistrates to go and defend an injustice. They will run from you, man. You know why? It's the slave mentality. They're not designed to fight. The confidence, they're designed to run. The confidence shrinks. We can shout, we can type on our phones online and yap it with, they will run. We're not designed. We want a lot of Africans, you want Africa to get better. You want an improved Africa, right? You want Nigeria to get better. But you don't have it in you to be a fighter, to demand justice. A lot of people just, they're not prepared for the society to be better. They're just finding their own way so that they can cater to their selfishness. You can't fight alone. Absolutely. So, you see exactly what I'm saying? You cannot fight alone. You can't fight alone. So imagine a bunch of people that don't have it in them. You're robbed of these things from childhood. You're robbed of these things from childhood. It's not in you. So how do you function as who you are not now that you're an adult? How? Anyways, I'll leave it at that for now. The park is getting closed, so I'll just crack on. Thank you very much. That's why there is no togetherness, because a bunch of black folks have, they have, what do you call it, man? They have, by default setting, most black folks have the mindset of a slave. I don't care what your educational background is. It's not really about who you work for. Well, they just want to go to work. They want to go to work. They just want to get their checks. They want to live in Kent. They want to drive a nice car, keep their head down and be subservient. And then you're fantasizing that you want Africa to get better. It's never going to get better. Not with a slave mindset. That's why, because the average African is subservient. They are inflicted with inferiority complex. Like I said earlier, there is nothing. Most Africans were built in Africa. They believe that until they've destroyed everything for the West. Anyways, that's me done. Let's keep the conversation going on below. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your eyeballs, for your eardrums, and I'll most definitely catch you in the very next one. Peace and love, man. Good night.